Yo, what's up guys? TheInsaneGamefreak here to bring you a societal discussion relating to social independence and social dependency. This video is essentially not the precursor, I guess the full video addressing something I mentioned on my vlog channel. I made a video that I stated to be like a precursor to this video, and that video, you know, the link to my vlog channel is in the description, but the video in question was me talking about Onision. If anyone knows who that is, he's a YouTuber on YouTube who makes comedy videos and has like a second channel called like Onision Speaks, and it was kind of basically inspiration for this video. So anyways, I'm going to be kind of addressing the issue that relates to him in the video, but the main discussion is social dependency and social independency, which eventually will go into people's lack of confidence and, you know, willing to leech onto others versus people who are overly like independent and believe that they are the shit and no one can talk to them, which is where the Onision stuff will kind of factor in. But anyways, let's get into it. Let's go. Okay, so to really explain what I mean by social independency and social dependency is you have people who are so high on their high horse that they are on like some I think I'm God type shit where you can't tell them nothing. That's the independency extreme. And then you have the social dependency where these people are so needy and so like brain dead that they honestly can't go take a shit unless they have somebody else's permission. And it's kind of just explaining the pros and cons of both of these and why, me personally, I'd rather just be in the middle. I know a lot of people like to take the egotistical route because it's honestly the best route. Because it's the easiest way to get through something without actually having to try. Now, being socially dependent, you can honestly make the same argument. I'm just saying, with egotistical people, it tends to be the most obvious choice. It's just to say fuck everybody, which we've all had those days where we're just like fuck everybody. But kind of let's just go with the social dependency first, because that one is the one that bothers me the most because of how bad it is. The biggest pro for people who act like they need somebody else, I guess the best way you could call this is the whole pimp and hooker mentality, where it's like I'll take a very I don't know if anyone watches the Boondocks, but you might get this reference. If anyone remembers the episode of what's her name? It was like Cristal Liked the Champagne. If anyone remembers that with the hooker, Cristal Liked the Champagne, where Granddad was kind of like, you can live with us, you can get a real job, you can, you know, not be a hooker. And then like at the end of the episode, she goes like, I can't get no job, I can't go back to school, I can't do no without my daddy, you know, pimp daddy, all that other shit, or pimp named Slickback, which is the whole name, by the way. Don't fucking say just the pimp. Don't just say Slickback. That's you will offend him. But the whole thing, that's the whole kind of basis behind social dependency, where it's like you want someone to do all the hardship for you. Essentially, it's like living life without having to worry about anything. It's kind of like having the little kid mentality where it's like, mommy will do this, daddy will do this, and all I have to do is do whatever they tell me to do, and I will be happy. Because they say, well, I'll be happy if I do these things. Like, it's like that, where you don't actually have to do anything, and you just fucking sit there and let them do all the work, and you just do what they tell you to do. And you don't ask questions because they're worrying about your happiness. Like, that's how it is. And a lot of people don't understand, why would you want to be that? Well, it's easier. Life is easier to do that, where you don't it's literally the way of going about life with no responsibilities. You don't actually have to worry about anything or worry about taking care of anything. You just listen to whatever other people tell you to do, and they'll make sure your life is okay, quote unquote. The problem with that is, in today's society, people like to say these things, but they're fucking lying half the time, and they don't really care. You know, they're just trying to get theirs. And having you around usually is helping them out in some damn way. It's kind of like a give and take situation. It's like, if I give you protection against these other guys trying to rape you, you have to lay down in bed with me or some shit like that. And it's like, I understand the pro of it. I understand that, you know, some days you just, like, it's kind of like the mentality you have when you go from like child to adult. It's like, I hate all the responsibilities. I hate having to pay a car payment, you know, get an apartment, worry about groceries, all this other stupid shit. And then you realize, man, I don't know why the hell I wanted to grow up so quick. It's kind of the same thing. It's like, I don't want to have to worry about all these things. I wanted to go back to the way it was, where mommy and daddy did all these things for me, and I didn't have to do a goddamn thing. And I see the appeal to it because you get to act like a child and chill. Like, that's the biggest pro of it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do, you don't have to take care of yourself. Like, all you have to do is do what they tell you to do, and then that's it. It seems really, it's one of those simple situations that makes everything easy. The con to this is that you can't really enjoy life. Honestly, social dependency to me is the same thing as just blind ignorance. You keep yourself stupid so you don't have to think. This one bothers me more because it's like you have no life. Your life is just essentially stuck in your own little world and everything else doesn't matter to you. Which honestly is kind of correlating with the I don't give a fuck about anyone else but myself mentality. Which in today's society a lot of people have, and it's like you shouldn't have that mentality, but I can see why people would have it. I just don't really agree with the whole concept of not trying. Because how do you feel accomplished? What sense of pride or joy do you have from just doing what your mommy or your daddy, or in this case, the pimp named Slickback tells you to do? There's no accomplishment there. You're just fucking following orders. At that point, you might as well be. I don't understand, and this kind of gets into my whole point. I don't really see the point in living if you're not really living. I don't think of following orders as living. That's like saying a computer is living because all it's doing is following the orders and the coding and to do it. It's the same thing as like, at that point you're like an inanimate object. You don't really have, at that point you have no soul or personality. You're just doing what you're being told so you can survive without actually having to try. What's the point in that? What fulfillment do you get in life? It's kind of like those people who just live just to make it through another day, which I understand that concept, but it's like, if you're only living to make it through another day, it's like, what happens when you die? We're gonna do reflect back, and it's like, well, I made it to 80 years old. I lived every day, and I got to 80, then I died. Like, there's gotta be some sense of accomplishment there. It's like you should feel proud of something. That's just me. I don't really understand that. I don't know. That's just me. And now we have the other side of the argument, which is this ridiculous sense of independence, which to me goes into the egotistical route. Now, the independence route in itself is for the most part, is probably the better of the two paths, because at least with independence, you're living your own life and you're living your dreams. The problem is when you get too far up there. When you get too far up on this independent shit, you start kind of thinking that you're on some type of higher state of living or higher state of being. The problem with the independent side of the things is that for some reason you put yourself on a fucking pedestal and believe that you are up here and everyone is down there and they don't know anything about where you're at, so them motherfuckers don't matter. Which, you know, I know people say that kind of in the sense that, like, don't worry about the haters, don't worry about the people who dislike you because they just hating on you and they ain't at your level, that's why they ain't talking to you. The problem is that people tend to construe haters with criticisms, and people need to understand that when you're on this high level of independence and freedom, that not everything you do is right. The two, the parallels is that you believe, and I find it hilarious because the people who are socially dependent have that same type of egotistical mindset. Well, I figured out the cool way. I figured out the easiest route to live because I have my pimp daddy telling me what to do. And I don't have to fucking worry about anything like money or clothes and shit because he buys everything for me. It's like that. It's like they both have their ego sides to them. The thing about the independent sides is that because they're not relying on anyone, they believe that what they've done is like the best way of route. And in the independence route, the biggest problem for me, it's just that you're so high on your high horse, you can't see anything. It's like you're so high that you've blinded yourself by the sun. You're only looking up, and you only see the sun, and that's the only way you're trying to go. And you feel like if you lower yourself, you're not on that higher state of being, and you feel like you feel like shit. A lot of people have this independence route, not really in towards of like living, but just in terms of people interactions. People have this independence mindset where it's like, I am free, no one can tell me what the fuck to do, and everyone else is on some bullshit, I got the right way of living. That issue really it doesn't really fuck you over on a financial state, like in terms of a job or in terms of clothes and all that other shit, you know, materialistic shit, or just the necessities of living, like having an area to live in, or all the basic necessities you may need to just get through life. But it fucks you up more on a social level where you believe when you're talking to people that you and them will have an exchange, but you know for a fact that no matter what they say, you've already figured out the best plan in life. And not everybody's on this, but a lot of people are on this, especially with the stupid mindset nowadays where it's like you're a hater if you don't fucking agree with the shit I do, or you think my way is wrong. Because apparently if I think your way is wrong, that automatically means that I'm on some bullshit because I don't agree with you. And that's where the Onision shit comes in. I'm not going to delve too deep into the Onision stuff because honestly, his shit revolves around like 3 or 4 other different things besides just the egotistical nature. But the egotistical nature, from what I see, this dude lives by himself in his own house and all this other shit. He has girls coming in and out in terms of like ex-wives and ex-girlfriends and shit. He's the one who always initiates these breakups. And every time, and there's a few things he'll say in his videos where he's like, every one of those breakups I initiated, meaning there was something wrong with them. There wasn't nothing wrong with me because I didn't initiate the breakup. And it's like, dude, you've like locked yourself in this little world where it's like you believe that the way you were doing things is the right way to do them. I mean, he not only does he preach about the relationship side of things, but just even on like being a vegetarian, he sounds like one of those fucking preachy vegetarians. Like, you're murdering animals and eating veggies is the right way, and then he'll go out of his way just to tell you, he's like, oh, you're stupid. It's like, oh, what, because I eat meat, I'm stupid? What kind of shit is that? It's that same kind of logic where it's like, I believe since I achieved everything by myself, and I figured everything out, I figured everything out, quote unquote, by myself, I obviously have the right way of thinking because I didn't have to rely on anyone, which doesn't make any fucking sense because you're human. Humans are not perfect. Humans make mistakes. No one achieves anything by themselves purely. Because almost every venue in life, you gotta go through somebody, or you gotta work with somebody to get there. As much as people like to be like, well, I got this job, I made this money on my own. It's like, well, what about the people who hired you? Wasn't it thanks to them too that you got the job? What about the people who pay you? Like, it's just this whole fucking mindset of just like, I can do anything I want and everything I do is right because I was the only one there to do it. Like, to me, I feel like that's more of a defense mechanism than anything, because it's like, if I'm on this high horse and I believe everything is right and I believe that everyone else is beneath me, any type of criticism I get or any type of negativity in my life, I can just fucking ignore and just be like, well, they're not. It's like it's a way of tricking yourself into believing that what they're saying is wrong because you come up with this bullshit stipulation that it's like, if they haven't achieved the same mindset as I have, then they're obviously beneath me. Meaning that all the problems they say I have, I don't really have because they're on some bullshit. Like, and the problem with that is like you're making yourself numb. And the best example I can give to really represent these type of people, and I know people are going to get me for this, is a One Piece reference. If anyone remembers Oz from Thriller Bark, that's essentially what it is. You have all this power and strength that you've obtained, and you're so stuck in your own ways that you've become numb to the pain. You know how I feel like Oz is a zombie. He can't feel any pain, so he just keeps going forward. And eventually, when your body does break down, that's how it's gonna work the same way. You're gonna fucking either gonna fall through just going through life like that for too long, or you'll just fucking die in ignorance. And it's like, that's not living either, because you're not changing as a person. You've decided, you've achieved your level of bullshit, and you just decided this is the best route to be on, and I'm just going to stick on this fucking route, and I'll be fine if I stick on my own route. It's the same thing. People believe we need to just be on one set path. I'm like, that's not how life works. There are different paths in life. You have to change different avenues and run into different types of people and situations for your experiences to gain more experience and to grow as a person. Because no one ever has just the right answer, the one right answer. Like, there's only one right answer, and that's the reason why no one ever seems to die happy or some bullshit. It's like, it's not like that. Life is like a fucking maze. You will be sent in so many fucking directions, but you learn. But the whole thing about life, that is a joy and a pain, it's a double-edged sword, is that the experiences can fuck you over or it can make you better. But the whole point is just to get past them and keep moving forward. Not necessarily like straight forward, which I think a lot of people misconstrue. When I say forward, I don't just mean this one line that only exists. You know, this perfect line. I mean, like, just move forward. I don't care if you go off to the left side or the fucking right side. The whole point is that you're moving forward. You're going towards a goal, or just kind of an end game. It's like, as I say, life's a game played to win. It's like you start at level 1. It doesn't really matter what route. It's kind of, you know, I'm gonna do a Sonic the Hedgehog thing. Well, not for the later games, but the newer. Well, actually, take Sonic Generations. There's like multiple different paths you can get to you can go through to get to the goal. It's the same way as life is. You don't all have to take the same damn path to get to the goal. That's my whole thing. And like people. And the problem with the socially independent on that egotistical bullshit scale is that you believe that you have chosen the right path. But the problem is there is no right path. It's just a path. There's a path. Actually, no, it's not even a path. It's just a multitude of different ways you can go on. Just because your way works for you doesn't necessarily mean that it's the only way. So to think that if someone were to tell you something different, that it will ruin your life and break down everything that's made you you or some shit. Like, people are afraid of losing themselves, as if you can lose yourself through one damn experience. Like, it should take a lot more than that. And two, just because you've been fed different information and you've been corrected on something, or you've gotten a different sense of input, doesn't ruin anything. To me, that's more of enlightenment than anything else. So that's my whole thing. Just, I choose the middle ground, where it's like, I'm not going to fucking wait on the pimp named Slipback to do everything for me. But at the same time, I'm not so high and fucking mighty that whatever everyone else tells me is shit. I am always willing to take in new ideas and, you know, formulate a different hypothesis. Like, I'll tell you, like, even look at my YouTube videos. There's a difference between how I was like a year ago and how I am now. That's a good thing. I feel like for me, if I was still in the same mindset as I was like a year or 2 years ago, I find something horribly wrong with that, just because I don't feel like I've grown at all. Even if it's not even physically, emotionally or mentally, I should have grown and changed, especially if I'm meeting different people and going through different situations. You know, that's what life is. It's a growing experience. You get the most out of life when you are surrounded when you are how do I put it? When you are surrounded, when you are faced with different types of experiences. That's why a lot of people like character development in anime. The main thing about character development in anime, it's like, you don't want a character to be doing the same thing 3 or 4 fucking 5 times, you know, tournament rescue arc, and all that shit. They always want you to throw the main character in different situations because they become more 3-dimensional. You know, they become a person. Or is it telling you? A real person goes through different facets in life. And that's how their character is formed. Not just by finding one path, not by relying on anyone, but through their own fucking experiences. And what it feels like is these two extremes. It's like one person found this way and they figured, I shouldn't have to do anything else because this way works. And it's like, just because it works doesn't mean it's the best way. That's just me. I don't feel like you should be trying to find the ultimate answer. I just feel like you should be exploring different venues just to see where you can end up and how things can go. or how it, because there's no such thing as it should happen a certain way. It's just that it happens in different ways. And not even saying that these two extremes are wrong. It's just that I don't really agree with them. Being so stuck in one path that you miss out on different opportunities, or fucking, actually that's both what these are. Both stuck in one path and just sticking to that opportunity. Being dependent, sticking on that one path. Being so independent that no one else's opinion matters, that's another path. Me, in the middle, I get to explore a shit ton of different venues and see how people arrived at those venues. And it's actually a pretty interesting ride. So, that's just that. That's a discussion. I've rambled on a lot. I don't even know how much of this made sense. But that's just me. So, this has been another societal discussion. If you liked it, you know, thank you for the comments, likes, dislikes, favoriting, all the other fun shit you do. If you subscribe, thank you. People, you can leave suggestions for other societal discussions in the comments. Video responses are always welcome. Links to all my stuff, like my vlog channel, the blip, my Skype name, my Yahoo, all that other shit's in the description. And, you know, just leave your thoughts and comments and video responses. So, life's a game, play to win, and I'll catch you guys later.
Peace. Peace.